Hello and welcome to this second episode of Show Me the Code. Today I'm going to show you how easy it is to stream a single source from your computer to Facebook Live, YouTube, and many more platforms with Nginx and RTMP. I'll also show you how easy it is to automate a setup of this kind of server with Vagrant and Ansible. Stay tuned. COVID-19 has affected our lives in more than just meat space. Our virtual lives have changed as well. Services are getting slammed more, and sometimes it's harder to live stream. Services like Restream.io and other multiplexing streaming services help alleviate that somewhat. However, it's expensive, and for organizations that are strapped for cash or, maybe don't have the status as an organization that they would like quite yet, but they would like to stream to multiple platforms and not have to get a credit card or anything like that. There's an alternative that I found while researching, and it was on OBS's own forum, so let's cut on over quick. And you'll see how to set up your own private RTMP server using Nginx, which is great. This allows you to stream to multiple external channels, import other people's streams to incorporate for your own purposes. You can also record, you can set up security for who can push, you can even set up, what else can you do? There's so much. Go ahead and run on over to the Nginx RTMP module by user Erot, blogspot link. But in the README, there's a fair number of configuration options. And have live. This enables live streaming. This will record. This will allow publish only from localhost. Let's see. Have different transcodings going on in the background. You can run MPEG as it's being streamed. You can pull in a webcam. You can push to external services. This is the part that we'll be using quite a bit. We can pull other RTMP streams in, so if you wanted to do like an Awesome Games Done quick stream where you have multiple people remote, you could use this as a way to have multiple streams pulled in. You can do video on demand, so you can have a folder in your server that has video files you can play, and people can go to that URL and immediately go and play it. You can have video chat where people can stream their webcam to the server and have it show up in a particular way. Well, the server will get the video signal. You'll have to get the video signal back out of the server with some sort of front-end library, but there's just tons and tons. Let's see. You can get RTMP stats. You can get, well, part of the video today, I think, is we'll try and add video.js on the index page or on a specific HTML page so that when you start streaming to this multiplexing server, you can pull the video back out and preview it before you send it off to your various streams. Although I don't quite know how to pause the video stream as soon as you start streaming, so it may just be you're previewing what's already going out. It should help with troubleshooting and things like that, firewall rules and whatnot. But yeah, this is the core module for Nginx that we're going to need to use to get this all up and running. So Nginx is a pretty known quantity at this point. However, sometimes it can be hard to configure for the layperson, and I didn't want to have to build the server. Well, first of all, I didn't have any infrastructure on which to build it, except maybe the cloud, but I didn't want to do that with money. So at first I tried VirtualBox, and that worked pretty well. However, I had to between reboots of the computer, booting it up and tearing it down wasn't working. So I used Vagrant to automate the build of a server. Vagrant and Ansible, both of these tools are very, very important to this process and also really cool. But this allowed me, between reboots, to tear down the server and build it back up very quickly and very easily. In fact, this particular server, all it needs is this Vagrant file, and you can have your own personal RTMP streaming server by just typing Vagrant up. Caveat: you need to install Vagrant and follow the instructions for installing a virtualization provider for Vagrant, but it's pretty straightforward if you've ever done anything on the command line. I won't walk you through that here. I would go to Vagrant's website for that. I'll put a link in the description. But you just type Vagrant up, and it'll bring it up with VirtualBox. And this is where we fast forward. See y'all in a bit. Okay, our playbook is finished. We've got the server all set up. I did realize that the variables in here are not going to be correct, but I can show you how we can change that, and we can also show it working. So let me go to, what am I trying to go to? What am I trying to go to? I want to show OBS, and I think I want to show YouTube. Studio.youtube.com. I think I logged in as the right user. I am. So let's see. We're gonna go live. We're gonna say test Nginx RTMP-server. We're going to no, it's not made for. So now we'll get auto-generated key. I will roll this key. Definitely for trying to stream again or having any other streams up and running. But we'll go ahead and SSH into the box we created. I want over on the side. How do I do that? 1 second. I just gotta do something. Okay, I just realized that you also need to have Ansible installed. If you're on a Unix style platform, that includes macOS and any distribution of Linux you might have. I'm not sure if a BSD distribution will have Ansible on it, but it's a Python program. You could maybe run it on Windows, but I don't think the support is there for anything other than PowerShell. And I've got a line in the Vagrant file that builds this machine specifically to deal with Windows. Ansible Local is a provisioner that allows Vagrant to install Ansible on the guest machine and run Ansible from the guest machine. So I issued the Vagrant SSH command, and Vagrant found the box that we are trying to log into and went ahead and logged in. So I'm the Vagrant user. So now I'm going to edit conf Nginx. So this is what got written out to the Nginx configuration. So I'm going to delete this line, We're not going to stream to sermon audio. We're just going to try a test YouTube. I'm going to paste in the stream key from YouTube. And this should allow me to start streaming a picture or something from OBS to YouTube, and it'll go there. I probably ought to have a second one. Have an account for a second. You'll just have to take my word for it that we use this every Sunday at my church to send to sermon audio and to YouTube. So go ahead and save that. And we also need to restart Nginx. User local sbin Nginx. Nginx sbin Nginx. Stop. Okay, and to test that it's running, go browser to 10.0.1.15. Hey, look, and we'll go ahead and edit this page later. I'm thinking to add a client-side JavaScript thing to test different streams. So now on our OBS side, go to File, Settings, Stream, Custom Streaming Server. We'll go to RTMP, // 10.0.1.15. That's the hard-coded IP address in my Vagrant file for the machine that'll be built. And then we'll do /live, which is the path for the stream. Stream key is super secret. You just type in something. I haven't figured out how to make stream keys any different, or like you can't stream to the server unless you have the stream key. There's ways you can filter by IP address. There's ways you can secure it in other ways. For right now, having it behind a NAT and being in the same network as it is good enough for our use case. But if you're doing this in a production environment or something publicly accessible from the internet, you're going to want to put firewall rules around it, or make a pull request to the RTMP module to add a way to have a stream key identified or generated beforehand that the server can accept. So once that's done, we hit apply, and we're going to add source. Sorry, we're going to add a new scene, and this will be a test scene. I'm actually using OBS to record, so this single camera and coding camera stuff is going to be stuff I use for recording. And we're going to say we want a image. Okay. We will have this is like a still I did trying to do some stuff, graphics on my, yeah, anyway, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna stream that out. Streaming. And if you look, we've got green streaming, and if we go back here, it says excellent connection. We should be able to see a preview here shortly. So there's the preview. Text. Around. That will be reflected here. Waiting. There we go. It moved a little bit. Now it's over there. It's going to be another couple minutes. Probably checking. Yeah. Yep, there you go. Okay. You saw it move. We're live. I'm gonna go not live now. Stop that. Delete this scene. Ooh. We went recursive. Let's close that out. So that's how you can. I mean, that's basically it. You don't have to edit the configuration file directly like I did. You can just add your URLs sans the rtmp : / piece and the stream keys into your Vagrant file locally. Don't commit those changes or push them anywhere, because then people will be able to stream to your platform. In fact, I want to probably roll that key now before I even attempt to publish this at all. But in the meantime, I want to talk about what the plans are for these scripts going forward and what I want to add right now for your viewing pleasure. There's a particular library called video.js that is sort of a skin for HTML5 players. And I kind of want to see how to do this and add a client-side library that will allow me to preview streams being sent to this. So that's sort of the rabbit hole I'm going to try and go down. As I figure things out, I'll put the camera back on and show y'all what's happening. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording for now, and we'll talk when I have something to report. Okay, so it's been a couple days. Things have gotten a little out of hand. But I've got some really cool stuff cooking, so I want to show you that. So this is my OBS stream. We've gone recursive again. Let me go and do this. And I also need to do this. Now you can see my screen. Wonderful. Okay, so we've started doing a lot of cool stuff. This is my front end file that I'm going to end up serving up as a Jinja template. Don't worry about what that is. It's something that Ansible will do for us once we install the server. And I've also made some changes to make the home directory calculated automatically, so we don't have problems trying to do this on another machine that doesn't use the Vagrant user. And I've also got this API set up in Golang using the Nginx web framework. It's really cool. But first, let me tell you why I'm making this API. I figured out a way to do what I wanted to do thanks to a helpful post on GitHub. Forgive the problems. This is Ben Wilber, his personal blog. In 2016 through 2018, he built like a web live streaming server with Nginx and RTMP, sort of like what I'm trying to do. So I figured, why reinvent the wheel? Just go ahead and do what he did. Except I didn't want to copy and paste everything, because I'm trying to learn some newer technologies and web frameworks that are going to be more useful in my career kind of stuff. And also Go's just kind of cool, so I wanted to play with it, and so I did. And instead of Django, I decided to use Gin and Golang. I looked at a couple others. Gorilla is another popular web framework, and there's also Martini, I think. And there's also a Sinatra-like one. There's tons of Go web frameworks. I ended up going with Gin just because it looked like... Gin is the one that's like Martini. That's right. I don't remember which one is the Sinatra-like one, but Gin is the one I ended up going with just because, it looked easy enough to use. You've got... let me show you a little bit of it. You've got your You can set up your SQL context and stuff in your main function. I'm using SQLite 3. I have a handful of imports. .SQL is pretty cool because it allows you to do these named queries you can use instead of having to write your queries in line. I also opted to have these in the file as well, so I wouldn't have to worry about trying to package and embed a single binary, which is what we'll get by doing it as a string. And I decided against serving the HTML files directly from Go, and just let Nginx handle that and then proxy those requests to the API as needed. So we're still like in the middle of all this. I'm just now getting responses back in my static. Where's my browser? There it is. I'm just now getting responses back of streams. So my goal is to have a list of streams that maybe show a status as to whether they're live or not. This is really overkill for what I want to do, but it does implement authentication. So you'd have to set up a stream key before you start streaming, and then it'd have to be a valid one. And you could end up securing this endpoint with any sort of authorization method you wanted. You could put it behind a proxy server that uses OAuth. Traffic is a good candidate for that. I particularly like Traffic. Yeah, it's just like, I'm sort of excited about this. This is really cool. Yeah, we're in the middle of it, so just give me a couple minutes and we'll see where it goes. And yeah, I went way too far on this. A wise and smug man once said that hindsight is 20/20. And in hindsight, this project should not have blown up like it did. But I'm to a point where I'm happy with it and want to show it to you guys. So let's take a look at it. Okay. So let's go through these files and what they do. So this app.js file handles our, well, these aren't even used. Interesting. This is our front end controller. It's just a view application with a template in the index HTML inside of this app div. And yeah, this is hooked up to our Nginx server that is provisioned by this playbook. I've also got it proxying my Golang server now so that all the streams can go into a SQLite database and come back out, and that's all working and wonderful. And I also had to configure the Nginx server to serve up the Nginx server to be able to serve up the M3U8 files, which is the playlist file for a live stream. So when you live stream, the initial RTMP application receives it. It does not allow anyone to play it, and then immediately pushes to HLS Live, which is what does our HTTP live streaming. So this basically saves files to a directory as it is streaming to allow you to get those files via HTTP and play them back. I'll show you how it all works when I run Vagrant up. But that was the big piece that I had to get in place, was this HLS Live setting. That was really key to getting the preview that I wanted working. So I'll show you guys how it all works once this provisions. So I got my coffee. I'm settled in. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay, our server is up and running. So now let me give you a demonstration of what I've set up. So when I first demonstrated this particular server, let me find, there it is. See that? So my initial demonstration showed that you could just stream whatever you wanted. And the stream key had no meaning. It was just sort of giving a location for the server to stream to. But now, I actually have a separate window of OBS open, which you should be able to see now. And we're going to play a little Big Buck Bunny, which is the Blender Foundation's film that they made. It sort of showcases what Blender can do. And yeah, we're going to stream this and see what can happen to our see how it works. So normally you'd go to settings, you'd go to stream, you'd be like, okay, I want to stream to some streaming thing, and hit apply, hit OK, you'd hit start streaming, and you'd be like, yeah, we can go. It's like, now it's locked down. So now you have to have a stream key, and it's really easy to get one. All you do is go to Brave, create a stream, and now you've got a stream key. So you'll go to copy that, and you'll come back to OBS, and you'll hit settings, you'll hit stream, you'll copy that. All right, so there's your stream key, sans the space. You hit apply, you hit OK. Now we should be able to stream. And the green in the bottom right says we're good to go. So now we'll head back over here to Stream Manager. We'll hit refresh, and now you'll see that our stream is live. And we'll pull this up. We'll hit play. Why isn't it playing? We'll hit close, refresh, live. There we go. And now there's silence, but if you'll wait a minute, it'll come through on the desktop audio, which I'm not sure I'm capturing. Now there's silence, but if you'll wait a minute, it'll come through on the desktop audio, which I'm not sure I'm capturing. It's pretty good, right? Yeah? I like it a lot, so. It's pretty good, right? Yeah? I like it a lot, so. Well, that's sort of how, that's one thing I have to work on. The video still plays, even if you close the modal, so that's one thing that I'll work on in the future, but I'm really happy with this, and we're still streaming over here. So if I hit stop streaming, what happens is that it hits the flag again and turns it off, so you can't go and view that stream again. And if you go ahead and delete the stream and you go back and you try to stream again, it'll say could not access the specified channel. So this is sort of a lockdown sort of streaming platform, kind of like YouTube in a sense. And I think I'm probably wrong, and that's how they're doing their servers, because they probably rolled their own RTMP server and aren't using Nginx. But it's really cool that I was able to do it like this. So I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. And now I'll talk a little bit about how it all works specifically. So we'll go here. So our main entry point is the Nginx server. As I was saying before, the stream comes into the live application, which then pushes to the HLS live application. So these are like two separate streaming servers. They're actually just like endpoints. So it streams from one endpoint to another. And it will only continue the stream if we get a 200 code from our Golang server. So this verify stream endpoint is in this Golang file, the Gin API. And in the verify stream handler, right up here, we get the name, because the Nginx server will send it in a we'll send a post request to the Golang server with the name, which is the stream key. So if the stream key is in our database, right? So first we check to see if Nginx sent us the key. If it doesn't, we fail and say something went wrong with getting the key. If it has it, we'll go ahead and execute a SQL statement to toggle the stream on. And then we'll check to make sure that we have affected a single row, because this operation we only want to happen once. So we go is valid key equals rows affected is equal to 1. And if it's a valid key, we'll say you're good, send a 200 status message. If it's not, we'll send a 404. So that's how we implement the security feature of the stream. And then when the stream is over, the way we toggle the live button on and off is we run the same script again to toggle it back off. So that way we can toggle the stream on and off. And I guess we should set it to like is live or something. Maybe we can change that to a date time field. That's the blog I've been basing my code off of has said to use went live at time and a closed stream at thing. So that's one way of doing it. I decided just to go with on off to make it easy and something I can do within a month rather than something that takes me 3 months to implement. Not that dates take 3 months, but software, it's like estimation is hard. So back to the Nginx configuration file. So on publish done, I showed you the stream over handler where we toggle it off. And then this was what I really had to work on to get that preview working. The preview needed to have an HLS, an HTTP live streaming module turned on. So I had to create an endpoint for HTTP live streaming. And this will take a RTMP stream and turn it into something we can stream with HTML5 APIs. So yeah, that was, and then we had to set up the index.html, which is what shows the table of streams with the create stream button, the delete stream button, all that. And that's controlled by the Vue.js application. I'll put a link in the description. There's this really great fetch wrapper that I found from another YouTuber, and it's a really great way to sort of do like a native. It's not really a native HTTP client because not every browser supports fetch, but they made fetch happen, and it's pretty good, so I like it. It's very Angular HTTP client or Axios-like, and I'm a fan of that. So I will leave a link in the description, and shout out to the guy that made it because it's really good. Guy or gal. So yeah, that's the basics of everything. I did have to use a HLS. I don't think I need Video.js anymore because I'm not using VJS. Okay. So I was going to use Video.js, but that was not what I needed. What I needed was hls.js, and that is an implementation of HTTP live stream for browsers that support certain newer media protocols. I use a Chromium derivative, Brave, so most of the new features in the W3C incubator stage are implemented pretty quickly here, so I'm able to use it there. I wouldn't imagine it works in like IE11 or anything like that, but this is sort of like a fun dev program, so I wouldn't run it in production as is anyway. But it's a good proof of concept, I think. So So yeah, going through the files, this is our controller. This is our Ansible playbook to bootstrap the entire server. This is sort of like a package lock file. Think of this like a package lock file if you're familiar with the NPM world. And then this, well, actually, I guess this is the package lock, and then this is the package JSON equivalent for Go. And this has sort of been introduced in, I think it was Go 1.11 or 1.12 where modules were introduced. It may have been 1.13, I don't remember. But it is a newer feature of Go that is really cool. It makes it a lot easier to build the application. I was fighting it for a while. I wanted to just be like, well, you know, I list all these imports here. Why can't these just be my... Oh, I don't like that that's inserting a new line for no reason. Okay, whatever, Go. Do you. So yeah, I was thinking like, well, this is already declaring my dependencies, but you do need versions. You do want to have a deterministic as much as you can build, so keeping similar versions is good too. So that's what these files are. This is, as I said, our index.html. If you're not familiar with Vue, I highly recommend you look it up because it's very easy to kind of just throw in an app.js file and put some template directives in here. Like this vif is a custom directive, and the mustache handlebars templating is in full effect. One thing I wanted to do in the Go file before I finished all this is add a formatting string, because apparently in Go, you have to, exported fields have to be in camel case, and anything in another case is considered not exported. So if you have a struct with anything that is not in camel case, it will not export it. So that's, it's not camel case specifically, like the first letter has to be capitalized, which I think is a little especially when I'm serializing it to JSON. But there are formatting directives you can give to the struct so that when it's passed to the JSON module inside Go, it, you know, Pascal cases it, or is this Pascal case? Which one's camel case and which one's Pascal case? I forget. Anyway, so yeah, that's one of the things I learned from Go. There's a Golang Discord that was very instrumental, and I want to give a shout out to the guys and gals there for really steering me in the right direction on a lot of these topics, for sure. And then Nginx.service, this is a systemd definition, so that our Nginx server starts on boot and can be controlled by systemctl, and the logs can be viewed with journalctl. So that was from the Nginx website. It really helped with being able to restart the server. So now, instead of having to run vagrant destroy and vagrant up, I can just run vagrant provision, and it will pretty much idempotently recreate the build. Which is good, because then I can more rapidly prototype and develop instead of waiting for the machine to shut down and then come back up. We've looked over this. This one's pretty straightforward at this point. I like the API proxy pass to my Go server so that I don't have to have a separate address in my app.js, so I just use window location API. This is probably not safe, but whatever. I'm also like declaring I mean, whatever. Browsers are insecure by default, right? And they're not made, you know, that's why you have grease monkey scripts and stuff like that, and user scripts that can get in your JavaScript and mess you up. So, the README probably has to be updated because it's more than just all this now. This is our database that got created when I was doing some local development. And then this is our streaming server systemd definition. One thing I want to point out with both of these is, well, with this one in particular, never have this. If you're going to move this to production at all, never run a service as root. especially not one that's accessible via HTTP endpoint. So one thing in the future that I would like to do is add a service user to run both Nginx and the Golang server, but don't do this. I wonder what would happen if I just took this out. I'll do that after this and see what happens. And then this just is a Vagrant file. There's nothing too fancy about this. If you're not familiar with Vagrant, it just runs virtual machines with VirtualBox for you. You can use other provisioners as well. I probably want to move to the LXC or libvirt versions because I'm on Linux, and that just makes more sense because VirtualBox is slow because it is so portable, but it is very slow. So might be good to look into other ones that are available. But yeah, this has been sort of what I've been working on for the past month as a side project. It's really been fun to learn about more systems and how they talk together. And I've enjoyed myself for sure, and I hope you've enjoyed it as well. As always, I'll list all of the open source software available to you in the description, so that you can replicate or play with or tinker with whatever I've put up. And I've got a GitHub repo with all of this code in there as well. I'll post that in the description as well. Would really appreciate it if you enjoyed this video, if you would subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when new videos get posted. I'm not on a good schedule to produce videos consistently yet, but I hope to get there, and the bell will just help you know when I'm on that consistent schedule or when I release a video, and that way you won't have to check back all the time. I really appreciate any support that you feel like you can give. A subscribe isn't that hard, a like isn't that hard, and I'm really trying to build this channel into something that is good to showcase fun things you can do with open source software. So appreciate y'all watching, and I hope you have a safe and wonderful 4th, as it is June 27th coming up. So we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.